We begin in Niger, where a group of military officers has announced a coup on national television.
On 26th of July 2020, a coup d'etat occurred in Niger when the country's presidential guard detained President Mohamed Bazoum and Presidential Guard Commander General Abdourahamane Tchiani proclaimed himself the leader of a new military junta. Presidential Guard forces closed the country's borders, suspended state institutions, and declared a curfew. This was the fifth military coup d'etat since the country gained independence from France in 1960. The coup was widely condemned by the international community and by the West African Regional Bloc, ECOWAS, which is considering a military intervention in the country, leading to the 2023 Nigerian crisis. Niger had previously undergone 4 military coups since independence from France in 1960, with the most recent having occurred in 2010. In between, there were several coup attempts, the most recent of which was in 2021 when military dissidents tried to seize the presidential palace 2 days before the inauguration of President-elect Mohamed Bazoum. He was the country's first democratically elected president to assume office from a similar elected predecessor. The coup also came in the wake of recent coups in nearby countries such as Guinea, Mali, and Sudan in 2021, and 2 in Burkina Faso in January and September 2022, which has led to the region being called a coup belt. Niger is a member of ECOWAS, which has already suspended Guinea, Mali, and Burkina Faso from membership due to successful coups in recent years. Bola Tinubu, president of Nigeria, was appointed chairman of ECOWAS on July 9th of 2023 and already warned in statement that same day that we will not allow coup after coup in the Western African sub-region.
We will not allow coup after coup.
We'll take this up seriously with the African Union, European, American, and Britain. Analysts say the rising cost of living and perception of government incompetence and corruption may have driven the revolt. The country frequently ranks at the bottom of the UN's Human Development Index and has also suffered from Islamist insurgencies led by Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, and Boko Haram. Despite its military receiving training and logistical support from the United States, France, and Turkey, which have bases in the country, it was also stated that dispute with the army over attitude with ECOWAS' position on military juntas in the region may have also played a part. Salifou Modi, chief of staff of Niger's military on 31st March 2023, visited Bamako in March to agree with Mali that it could pursue jihadists on Mali's territory. But Bazoum was supportive of ECOWAS in its anti-junta stance. Modi was replaced weeks later. Abdourahamane Tchiani stated that the military of Niger overthrew Bazoum due to the rising insecurity in regards to jihadism. But jihadist violence was decreasing at the time of the coup. In 2022, the country became the hub of France's anti-jihadist operation in the Sahel region following its expulsion from Mali and Burkina Faso, with Bazoum being described as one of the few remaining pro-Western leaders in the region. Niger became a key ally for Western, particularly French and American and Turkish forces. With multiple coups and rising anti-French sentiment in the region, Niger became France's partner of last resort. American trained officers were also reported to have trained many members of the presidential guard. At the same time, along with anti-French sentiment, a current of thought favorable to the entry of Russian influence and the Wagner Group mercenary company began to grow. Russia, through Wagner, has been gaining ground at the expense of the French in the region, following the latest coups in the Mali and Burkina Faso. At the same time, Turkey has also expanded its influence. Early in the morning, the Nigerian presidency's Twitter account announced that presidential guards commanded by General Abdourahamane Tchiani engaged in an anti-republican demonstration and tried in vain to obtain the support of the older security forces. It also said that President Mohamed Bazoum and his family were well after report emerged that he was being held in the presidential palace in the capital, Niamey. Interim Minister Hamadou Souley was also arrested and had held in the palace, while roughly 20 members of the presidential guard were spotted outside later in the day. The coup was reportedly led by Tchiani, whom analysts said Bazoum had planned to relieve from his position. Sources close to Bazoum said that he had decided on Tchiani's dismissal at a cabinet meeting on 24 July as their relations had reportedly become strained. President Bazoum's wife Hadiza and son Salim were detained with him at the presidential palace, while his daughters were in Paris at the time of the coup. In the morning, the palace and the adjacent ministry were blocked up by military vehicles, and palace staff were prevented from accessing their offices. Up to 400 civilian supporters of Bazoum tried to approach the palace, but were dispersed by presidential guard with gunfire, leaving one injured. Elsewhere in Niamey, the situation was described as calm. The presidency also claimed that protests in support of Bazoum had occurred around the country's overseas diplomatic missions. In response to this event, Niger's armed forces surrounded the presidential palace in support of Bazoum. The army also issued a statement saying they had secured a major strategic point in the country. The presidency stated that the army and the National Guard were ready to attack the presidential guard. It also reported that loyalist forces had surrounded the state broadcaster ORTN. The US embassy warned against travel along Niamey's Boulevard de la République, where the presidential palace was located. In the evening, however, Air Force Colonel Major Amadou Abdourahamane went on state television channel Télé Sahel to claim that President Bazoum had been removed from power, announced the formation of a National Council for the Safeguard of the Homeland. Seated and flanked by 9 other officers wearing uniforms representing all the different branches of the security forces. Abdourahamane said the defense and security forces had decided to topple the regime due to the deteriorating security situation and bad governance. He also announced the dissolution of the country's constitution, the suspension of state institutions, the closure of the country's border, and a nationwide curfew from 10 a.m. until 5 local time. While warning against any foreign intervention, the curfew was later lifted on 4 August. One of the officers seen during the announcement was later identified as General Musa Salau Barmu, the head of the country's special forces. In the morning, Bazoum tweeted that Nigerians who love democracy will see to it that hard-won gains will be safeguarded, indicating his refusal to step down from office. His foreign minister Hassoumi Massaoudou told France 24 that the country's legal and legitimate power remained with the president and reiterated that Bazoum was in good condition and that not the entire army was involved. Massaoudou also declared himself acting head of state and called on all Democrats to make this adventure fair. Despite being detained, Bazoum has not resigned as of 3 August and has been able to get in contact with world leaders and officials such as French President Emmanuel Macron, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, AU Commissioner Moussa Faki, and US Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. However, a former advisor to Bazoum who had been in contact with him said that the military was trying to wear him down by surrounding his residence with armored military vehicles, turning the access gate shut and cutting the electricity supply. The leadership of the Nigerian Armed Forces issued a statement signed by the Army Chief of Staff General Abdul Sadiq Issa declaring its support for the coup, citing the need to preserve the physical integrity of the president and his family and avoid a deadly confrontation that could create a bloodbath and affect the security of the population. In a television statement shortly after, Abdourahamane announced the suspension of all activities by political parties in the country until further notice. He also announced that the Junta has issued a reprimand to France for violating the airspace closure after a military plane landed at an air base. Throughout the day, Télé Sahel continually broadcast the announcement of the Junta's establishment with a few breaks in programming. A pro-coup demonstration took place with about 1,000 supporters of the Junta flying Russian flags, voicing support for the Wagner group and throwing rocks at a passing politician's vehicle. The demonstrators also denounced the French presence and that of other foreign bases. Other demonstrators gathered outside the headquarters of Bazoum's PND's Taraya party, with footage showing them stoning and setting fire to vehicles. They then subsequently ransacked and burned the premises, leading police to disperse them with tear gas. Demonstrations also occurred in front of the National Assembly. This prompted the Interior Minister in the evening to ban all demonstrations with immediate effect. Civil servants were also told to stay home. Cameron Hudson, a senior associate of the Center of Strategic and International Studies, said that the coup could impact Niger's fight against the Islamist insurgency, adding that there were indications that the Nigerian military was not pleased with the level of support they received to fight militants. Of Laden, head of the Sahel program at the Konrad Adenauer Foundation, said the coup was a nightmare for the West, which counted on Bazoum and Niger as its new security anchor in the region. Flavian Baumgartner, an African analyst at the security and political risk consultancy Dragonfly, said that Bazoum's removal could lead to the Wagner group expanding into Niger, given that the country is an important producer of uranium. A major oil pipeline that will be the longest in Africa at 1,980 kilometers in length was under construction. It will connect the oil fields of the Agadim Oasis in the Ag of Bilma in Difa, Niger, with the port same terminal in Benin. By October 2022, 30% of the pipeline was complete. Benin authorities commented that the sanctions imposed on Niger by ECOWAS after the coup, although they did not stop construction work, could mean a significant delay. The coup is seen as encouraging for jihadis, as the coups in Mali and Burkina Faso were followed by intensified jihadist violence, according to ACLED data. Thanks for watching ABNTV on YouTube, and don't forget to press the like button, and if you didn't subscribe, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so that you won't miss any of our upcoming videos.